Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. Still smiling. There you have it. I'm Tony Haggerty at a Haggerty10 Twitter handle, as you all know by now. And I'm joined today by Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C. Macdonald. How are you, Aidan? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, Tony. How are you?
Good. You were telling me off air. I hope your father sobered up from Sunday. Yes, indeed. Getting rid of his hangover. Hope you're all right, my friend. Take it easy. But I'm sure you are. I'm sure you can smile your way through your day, Mr. McDonald. But there you go. Now, as we always do, first things first every morning, we ask you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality football journalism covering the club you love. And it'll cost you, for the click of a button, £2 for 2 months of unlimited access to everything that we do on the site. Something there for everybody. Aidan will go through that in a second, as he always does. But click that button, guys, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And we thank everybody that's already done that. We've got a nice wee community here, and it's growing fast. So we say thank you to the subscribers and all the commenters who come in every day and watch the show and put their own comments in the comment section. And we also say thank you to our sponsors, SENECA Medical Group. I'll just flick that up, Aidan. There we are. And the Celtic Way Morning Briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And SENECA, as you all know now, are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. Now, we thought it might be a wee bit quiet today, Aidan, that kind of midweek day on the brow of the hill. Not much to talk about, but hey, there's always something to talk about in the land of the leather belts, the fuzzy felts, the Marjorie Prips. So here we go, Aidan. Ange Postecoglou's second League Cup success in the spin. It's a big deal for a lot of people, especially back home. Lots of people getting involved and bigging him up and saying some wonderful things about him. Just give you a flavour here. I've written an article about it, and I'll put it into the comment section here, and you can read that. It's on the site. There you go. There it is. But you'll see some of the things that people are saying. First and foremost, South Melbourne get in the act, and they said, "We told you our boy was good." Can't argue with that, can you?
No, they were bang on, to be fair, Tony, because they were very much pushing Ange from really as soon as he got announced. That was one of the sort of main accounts that people went to, wasn't it? To
Yeah.
get to see, older pictures of Ange or maybe previous interviews or footage when obviously he was in charge of that team. So, yeah, it was good to see them getting involved. And I think I always remember like following them on social media. It's always good because even like throughout the season and that, when it's maybe not a significant game, we'll always like be posting some sort of Ange related content. I think they posted that photo of him with like the mustache and that.
Yeah.
Like one of the first times, I know it's probably been shared like lots now. I mean, it's probably available on t-shirts and places now, but when he first joined, that was the sort of one that I remember people going, "Oh, it's an interesting one." So yeah, that's an account well worth following if anybody hasn't already.
Yes, and the Australian media outlet Optus Sport also tweeted to toast Postecoglou's success, and Optus Sport said, "Ange Postecoglou just wins. Celtic win the Scottish League Cup again. Ange has now won 3 out of 4 domestic trophies available to him as Celtic manager. Glasgow is green and white." They seem to be on message and on point, Aidan, as well. Optus Sport.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to be hearing, to be fair. And once again, they're another one that's bang on with that, Tony.
Yeah. And friend of the show, Vince Regari, who's an Australian soccer enthusiast and a Sydney Herald sports writer, he had 2 words, Aidan. It's quite good. Statue when. That was Vince Regari's. I actually quite liked that. I thought that was very funny. So big up to Vince. I'm sure he watches the show and he's got in touch a couple of times over DM. But statue when, Aidan?
Get it right out the front, Tony. Do you know what I mean? I've got no doubt about that. Maybe, all joking aside, maybe still a wee bit away from
Yeah.
statue material, but another good comment. And just as we're going through these, I do wonder maybe how much Ange's seen of it, because I know he's spoken about before when he was Australian manager that he maybe felt he wasn't getting, not that
Yep.
he was looking for praise, but he maybe felt sometimes the criticism was a bit harsh, or not even criticism, but maybe there just wasn't enough focus on what was happening. So the fact that he's obviously managing another country and it's getting a lot of press, I'd imagine will probably please him.
Yeah, and the Isuzu U2E A-League account tweeted congratulations to both Postecoglou and Aaron Moy, and the message read simply, Ange Postecoglou, Aaron Moy, Scottish League Cup champions, how bloody good. The pair of A-League greats collected their crowns with Celtic FC after overcoming fierce rivals Rangers at Hampden Park. And Scott McDonald, former Celtic striker, Australian internationalist, just said this, Ange getting lucky again. So there you go. So, but back home, it's a big deal back home. Everybody's delighted for him. And and we're delighted to have him, Aidan, basically.
Yeah, summed up really well there, Tony. Obviously, can't really get enough of Ange at the moment, given how excellent he's been since he came to the club and taking it to another level this season. And obviously, there's a lot of football left to be played as well. So if we're getting a big media reaction now, I can only imagine what it's going to be like if everything goes to plan, May sort of start of June time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great to see that reaction from former players and people back in his homeland, because he is a big deal and he is having tremendous success, and it's excellent that they're now bigging him up. But South Melbourne in particular, I quite like that, and I did like Vince Rugari's the statue. As you say, maybe a bit early for that kind of talk, but well, Ange said himself, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Aidan, that be surprised at the length of time that he stays for. And then he also said that no doubt some journalists will write that he lacks ambition, but doesn't seem like a man that's in a hurry to leave, Aidan, or to jump ship at any time soon.
No, not at the moment. And I know we have kind of discussed, what's he going to do with a contract and that. Then you and Sean have both kind of pointed out regularly this is kind of the way Ange has worked, really, in a lot of his jobs, maybe doing a rolling contract or like, a 2-year contract or whatever. He's not really wanting to sign big long-term deals because he kind of focuses on the here and now. But with Celtic, he has kind of spoken about having another crack at the Champions League, hasn't he? Now, well, that would only mean he was here another season after this. Hopefully, I think everybody would hope he was here for as long as possible. But I think at least for another 12 months anyway, Tony, he's spoken about wanting to develop the team more and really sort of make a mark in Europe, which I don't know if I could see him getting to do that chance where a team, if he was to leave in the near future, I don't know how likely that would be for a team that have guaranteed Champions League football. So, assuming Celtic win the league, which fingers crossed they will, I think the sort of European project and building from that point of view is based off just what that manager said himself. That's not us speculating. Even before these recent comments about his own future, he'd spoken about wanting to kind of get the club to the stage where it's not just an achievement to be in the Champions League, you want to be in and sort of reaching the knockout stages and to an extent competing. So that makes me think at the very least, Tony, Ange will be sticking around in the near future.
I spoke about that yesterday, Aidan, saying that that's the next big hurdle for him. Doesn't want to just compete in the Champions League and get 2 draws from 6 in group matches. He wants to actually win group matches. You say, hopefully make the knockout phase if they can. Failing that, make a real dent in a competition like the Europa League. I still see that as his big goal, and nothing dissuades me from thinking that he might stick around for a while to try and achieve that. But we're talking about succession planning as well, and I like him to do the Liverpool boot room. I think he wants to oversee it if he ever eventually, he will eventually leave, obviously, but the blueprint that he's set for success is not just ripped up and torn asunder by whoever comes in next. And I think that's important to myself and Sean and lots of Celtic supporters, and obviously probably yourself as well, that kind of, it becomes a seamless transition and that he's involved in the selection process for whoever comes in so they can continue on that work.
Yeah, that is kind of how modern football clubs and successful teams are run nowadays, Tony, isn't it? It's not because anything can happen now with managers. Big clubs, yeah. You don't want to be at the stage that the manager leaves and sort of everything gets pulled from underneath, like what happened to Brendan Rodgers, to be blunt. Obviously, he did take a good chunk of his staff with him, and maybe that wouldn't happen to an extent again, because obviously he brought so many staff in, whereas Ange's brought in, Harry Kewell, Anton McElhone, ahead of data, but overall, a lot of the kind of staff working behind the scenes were kind of there before. So maybe that wouldn't happen if Ange was to move on, but you want to be in a position that it is a seamless transition, like you said, and I know it is all well and good us saying that. It's another thing of Celtic have actually putting that in place, but I think we are kind of hoping that with the transfer business, for example, that's sort of a key that Celtic are doing things a bit more differently than efficiently than they were maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, or even in terms of transfer business when Rodgers was there. As much as he was a brilliant manager, I think really after that first season, nobody would say the transfer business was that great. You brought in still some good players. I know we brought in Edouard and that, etc. But some of it was a bit lacklustre, and then buying loads of guys on loan and losing players on the last day of the window and things like that. It seems like that is something the club's moving away from. So the fact they're doing that would be the hope that when it does come to the manager moving on, that it's a more efficient process from that perspective as well.
Plenty of comments coming in. Jamie 7121 says just a feeling, but you think Ange will have at least 2 more years. H1 saying Ange is all about loyalty. Pete McGee, someone else came in and said the buckled Furby. Totally agree. The big man's building something special. It's Celtic. So I mean, as I say, we spoke about that yesterday and talked about how you can speculate how long he's going to be here for. The manager himself said, "You'll be surprised how long I'm here for." So you take him at face value on that, don't you, Sean? Aidan? Sean, I nearly called you there, eh?
Yeah, you do kind of take him at face value, really, because the way he spoke since he came in, everybody's bought in. So if we were sort of buying in so much to an extent and then not believing him when he was speaking here, we would kind of be contradicting ourselves. So yeah, I do hope. I mean, I'm not naive. If Ange keeps being successful, particularly if he does well in Europe next year. Now, what exactly that constitutes, I don't know. But for example, if Celtic win the league, qualify for the Champions League, and you're in the knockout stages, that would be the first time anybody's done that since Neil Lennon 2012-13. And if it was to progress even more than that, that would be, one of the best performances in the sort of Champions League / European Cup for decades, really. So if that was to happen, then that's going to highlight even more. But I like to think he's going to stick around for a couple of years, Tony, anyway.
I just think his timing was priceless as well after the winning of the Cup, and those comments just to put an even bigger smile on the Celtic supporters' faces, and the ... was, I know you're going to link me with every job this summer. The sign says don't walk, right thing, So I think it was he knows what he's doing. He's a clever man. I've said that before. And the devil's in the detail. You have to open your ears, don't you, and shut the mouth and just listen to what he's saying and absorb it and take it all in. And I think Celtic supporters reading those comments would have been even more delighted waking up on yesterday, wasn't it? And seeing that, and they're still smiling after the cup win, but that's just that's the icing on the cake a wee bit, isn't it, Aidan?
Yeah, it is really, and it just the way the comments that Ange did make did seem like so genuine, and really, it does sound like he meant it. Obviously, anything can happen, right? We understand that, particularly with the rolling contract situation. But I don't think that really worries me as much as it once did, because as it has been pointed out, and also I mentioned earlier, that is the way he's worked at a lot of clubs, either like a rolling contract or one 2-year contract. So that doesn't really faze me in terms of his future. But obviously, you can't really fully predict what's going to happen in football. But I think the club's in such a good place right now. I'd be very surprised if he was moving on anytime soon, Tony.
Derek Crawford, he is very clever and the best manager I have seen with the press, Tony. Yep, I'd go as far as to say he's certainly reaching that kind of status for myself. I've said before, I've said it since not since day one, but since the first time I sat in front of him, listened to him. He signposts it, he tells you, he roadmaps it, and if you listen and tune in, then you can maybe get a handle on him and where he's coming from, and kind of he's very fond of the phrase "he's not wired like that," and a lot of people kind of get their wires crossed and maybe read them wrong, but I try not to. I did it once.
Never again, Tony.
I try not to. But hey, that was maybe just me getting to know him and his workings, but there you go. Now, Aidan, another issue that has arisen today is the Asian Cup. Now, those dates have been announced, and the Asian Cup will run from January the 10th to February the 12th. And our man who's always on the ball, Sean, had written an article about it. I believe you're going to put it up on the site again. And
yes, I will just fill that in now, Tony.
Put it up there so the comments. But the long and short of it is that Celtic could have a plethora of players away on international duty during the Asian Cup tournament. Those players possibly being Daisen Maeda, Kyogo Furuhashi, Ryo Hatate, and Yoki Kobayashi for Japan, Aaron Moy for Australia, and Oh Hyun-gyu for South Korea. Sorry, I forgot about Tomoki Iwata, possibly as well for Japan. So that's 7 players, Aidan, that Celtic could possibly be without. Now the break comes between the 3rd, January the 3rd, and the 19th SPFL winter break next year, doesn't it? I think that's the dates. But
yeah,
now, as Sean said, it's become an issue, might be a problem, but Celtic can request postponements, can't they? That's in the SPFL rulebook, that if they're impacted by, and the fact that the Asian Cup is within the FIFA regulations, that the Celtic would have to release their players if they are called up, but they can also request postponements of games that the team will be impacted for if that's allowed, and that's if those players are called up. So, yep, it's certainly heading for a dilemma. Squad depth will be tested then, Aidan, very much so. But as much as 7, and the way things are going, you could conceivably see all 7 being called up.
Yeah, I mean they're all performing really well at the moment. Maybe the only one I could maybe think would be Kobayashi. It might be a wee bit of a step up. Obviously, I know there's a lot of football to be played between now and then, but just given his age, and obviously Japan having a decent enough World Cup, if they keep all their players fit, it might be a wee bit of a stretch for him. But the rest of the players could definitely be called up there, Tony. Just a lot of them have already contributed so much this season, and Owen Iwata have looked positive since they've came in. So yeah, I'd imagine that over the sort of next 6 months into next season, they will be involved regularly. So yeah, it could happen. Obviously, it is a while away, but it is something worth discussing. And I'm sure, given the way that Ange was speaking about, they were planning for the World Cup. I think he said it was like 6 months in advance. We're already planning what they're going to be doing during the break, and the players that are going to be away in the lead up to it, and the players that are going to be having to, get a wee bit longer off when they came back to domestic football. So I'm sure that's already in the pipeline, to be honest. In terms of postponements now, I don't know what you think. If all those players are away, then I think Celtic would be entitled to postpone a game, to be honest. I couldn't imagine Ange wanting to do like several postponements. I'm unsure on if there's an exact amount you're allowed to have, but that might be the odd one here or there. If every single one of them's away, Tony, I don't think that would be unfair. Would you agree with that?
Well, without doubt, Derek Crawford coming in, that worries me big time, but Ange will have a plan. Kevin Ferrier says, yes, Tony, you're right. Yep, more than 4. Gone yourself says more than 4. You can request postponements for more than 4 players being called up. So, yeah, but there's another comment I wanted to flick up. Yep, Alan Woods saying we always knew the Asian Cup was coming, so have the squad to cope. The winter break and Scottish Cup tie about then should cover most of it, which is a fair point. But yeah, I mean, I agree with Derek. And he's a clever man, isn't he? So he knows the score, and they will be taking precautions, or they'll have a plan in place to see what to do when inevitably the squads are announced for the Asian Cup. And Ange's thoughts on it, being a former international manager, he wants his players to get international recognition, so he'll be encouraging his players to go and represent their respective countries in a tournament which he won with Australia. That was Australia's first major international tournament success. So I think Ange will be actively encouraging his players to go on and represent their countries and try and win international honours and win a prestigious tournament. So you know his thoughts on it. Will he have a plan? Of course he'll have a plan. He always has a plan, doesn't he, Aidan? 4 or more, you can request postponements. Just depends what what games are around then. The Scottish Cup tie is usually around then, isn't it? We come back from the winter break and they usually do have a Scottish Cup tie, so that might absorb one of your postponements if that, or sorry, might not need to postpone, depending if the draw is possibly king to you and you can, you can cope with the squad that you have at your disposal. But yeah, Ange will definitely have a plan for that, and they'll probably just add better players, but more players in to that depth squad, and to cover the loss of such key and influential players in the summer. You know what he was saying, he always thinks he's thinking a window ahead, so he's probably got a list of targets right now that can come in and maybe offset that if all of those players do end up going away to the Asian Cup.
Yeah, I've got no doubt, like you say, that he will have a plan, Tony. And I mean, there'll have been one more transfer window, and you'll be in the midst of another one when that Asian Cup comes round. So, I mean, there'll have been an opportunity to bring in more players if needed, and I'm sure Celtic will. Obviously, you don't know if players are going to move on as well during that spell, but yeah, it just does seem to be planning so far ahead for everything, really. And the manager said that himself once again. That's not us just speculating and hoping for the best. He's made that clear in his press conference, so it wouldn't surprise me if it's the case. And I'm sure, really, from when he was bringing players in next January, obviously bringing another 2 Japanese players in Kobayashi and Iwata, he would have been thinking, and he said, these guys are quality players. I want them to be playing at the highest level and get called up. And he does always speak well about international football in general, even when asked about Scotland and that, he's always praised Stevie Clark and that, etc. So it is also something that means a lot to him. Players are going to represent their country. And as you very well mentioned, the Asian Cup's got a special place for Ange, given that was sort of Australia's first and at the moment only major honour, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, he'll want the players to go and do well, and we'll just kind of need to play it by ear at the time. But I think the fact there's the summer transfer window and you'll be in the middle of the January window, as well as obviously as the commenters were pointing out, the break, there's a 2-week break within that period, then you come back with the Scottish Cup tie, which traditionally, I know it kind of can depend on the draw, but traditionally that's maybe a game that you play a slightly weaker team, or not weaker team, but guys get opportunities that aren't usually starting. So quite a lot of those players listed there are kind of going to assume they're still going to be key players come next year. They might have been getting a break for that match anyway, Tony. So hopefully with the dates and the fact it's by the looks of it a Scottish Cup tie, that'll break it up a wee bit.
What's the betting with draw Rangers, even in that Scottish Cup?
Yeah. One problem at a time,
I'm running down now to the bookmakers to put money on Celtic getting Rangers in that Scottish Cup draw as a certainty. Ibrox as well. What do you think to that? You say one problem at a time, yeah?
Yeah, I don't want to too far ahead because that wouldn't. Well, maybe a bit of an interesting situation, but yeah, I'm sure Celtic are more prepared for it. But it's understandable, something that obviously the fans would be concerned about, just given how many players we have from that area of the world that will be taking part in that competition. Sorry.
Yeah, and also as well, Aidan, it's been mooted, and probably I think it's in the planning stages now that Celtic are going to go to the Far East and to Japan, but South Korea has also been added as a potential stopover as well. And it's great news for the Japanese players that go home and see their family, but also good news for O, so he can also go home and see his family as well. But I just think that's how you keep players really happy, and I think it's terrific that. And I guess the thought process is they're going that far, taking the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was originally the reports were from Japanese media who, when it came to transfer speculation, etc., have been pretty much on the money with the reports since Ange came. If you think back to, I know Kyogo kind of just came out of nowhere in terms of him signing, but obviously Ideguchi, Maeda, and who else am I forgetting? Hatate. That was also getting speculated for a while. Same with Iwata, same with Kobayashi. So if we're kind of taking it to that extent, hopefully we'll kind of take that at face value. And it does look like that Celtic could be heading to Japan for a sort of round. It's been kind of described as like a kind of close season tour, But obviously the dates that were being kind of muted were, I believe, either the first or third week in July.
Sure.
Obviously, I know the season does finish a wee bit later. If you get to the Scottish Cup final, it's the start of June, isn't it? But it would be more sort of a pre-season, the start of a pre-season option if Celtic did win the league, because obviously they wouldn't have Championship qualifiers. So I think it would be more sort of a start of the season thing rather than the end of it. But yeah, just in terms of obviously the players getting to see their families, that would also be brilliant for them. And like you say, Tony, that is another good way of sort of keeping squad morale strong, given there is such a large contingent that are also quite far away from their families. So yeah, it would be interesting. The fact looking at the South Korean market as well does show you that I'm not daft, Tony. So yeah, look, that'll be one just to keep an eye on. I'm sure, given how far in advance we heard about the Australian tour, it wouldn't surprise me if something gets confirmed relatively soon about that.
Yeah.
So that we do have details, and I'm sure, even though it is like Australia very far away, Japan and South Korea, the fans will be heading over again, no doubt.
And Robert Kelly says he loves the idea of an Asian tour, keeps the players happy, and gives the club a new revenue stream. I'm all for that. And then Pete King saying to me, Tony, don't get carried away, still to play Hearts. I know the Celtic still to play Hearts. I was talking about next season's Scottish Cup draw. Celtic will be in the hat for that draw. I wasn't talking about the fact that I was going to play Rangers at some stage during this competition, because I know they've still got Hearts to play at Tynecastle.
Tony was worrying about next season.
I was talking about the fact that the Scottish Cup ties are smack bang in the midst of the Asian Cup, and I was being flippant and saying, what's the chances that Celtic will draw Rangers out the hat at Ibrox for that particular draw? That's what I was talking about, yeah. But indeed, we have got Hearts in the Scottish Cup quarter-final, one game at a time, maybe. And the next one is St Mirren on Saturday. We'll preview that in full over the next couple of days. But looking forward to going back to Paisley, I have to say, Aidan.
I'm glad you're looking forward to it, Tony. I'll be honest. Given the last result there, it's a game that I've maybe got a wee bit not a concern about, but I think there's going to be an edge to it, is what I would say. Obviously, you were there last time, and it wasn't the best game. I think me and you did the briefing on the Monday after it, and there's not been many days like that this season, but that was a bit of a tough one. So we'll be hoping for a wee bit more of a better afternoon this time round.
I was talking on Monday, though, I like the fact that there's an edge to that, keeps the players on their toes and keeps them sharp. And if they, Ange, Postecoglou said revenge is not anything that floats his boat or flicks his switch. He's not built that way. So, but I mean, the players will certainly want to make amends for the only loss so far this season. So you operate with small goals, don't you? Small individual targets and goals for each individual game. So if they're of a mind, that's a right. That's a wrong that they want to right, and I quite like that, because it saves that kind of come down after the high of the League Cup. They're now ticking them off to hopefully another successive championship, 2 in a row, and that's kind of thing that motivates players. They've gone there before and lost this season, so let's not do it again.
Fingers crossed, Tony. I think look, I do know what you mean in terms of having an added edge that maybe is a motivating factor for the players. And as you mentioned, he's like, just one game at a time. We just play our football. Don't really worry about what the other team's going to do. If we can play to our maximum ability, then we'll get the job done. But yeah, it will be something that Celtic want to. I seen somebody talking about exercising demons in the chat there. That might be a wee bit extreme, but they'll definitely want to improve on what they did last time there. But I think, as we pointed out in that game, I believe the centre-back pair was Stephen Welsh and Starfelt. So, sorry, not Starfelt, sorry, Stephen Welsh and Maurice Jens. So, since then, obviously, Jens has left and Welsh isn't really anywhere near it at the moment. So, having Carter Vickers and Starfelt there, who have been performing excellent since Celtics came back from the World Cup break, also Kobayashi is an option, would hopefully allow us to be a wee bit more solid defensively that day, on Sunday, sorry.
Bit of a debate raging in the comments. Now, Sean said he would play in the grey strip, exercise the demons. on Monday. I'm sure he said it on Monday. Lots of people saying, no, the grey strip should be binned, never worn again. And Beach Boy saying they can't wear the hoops because of the clash, so much white, so both teams will need to wear their second strip. So, so your thoughts, Aidan? Grey strip or not?
I'll be honest, obviously you would maybe have a different perception than me, Tony, because I know you were at the game, but I know it was kind of online at the time. That I was struggling to actually see at times what player was which with the two strips. Now, I don't know if that is a issue on the pitch for the players sort of thing, probably not, but when I was watching it at times, it was hard to actually see who was who outside of obviously who was attacking what goal. That kind of then made clear who was going forward. But I didn't really. I thought that was weird that was able to happen. Will they wear this strip? I don't know. They've not worn it since, have they? I don't think.
Not to
I
my
think
knowledge.
it's going to be like one of those sort of things that you see kicking about classic football shirts for like 800 quid a few years from now. So I might need to invest in one, Tony, to be honest. But look, in terms of strips, it shouldn't really matter, should it? I understand they'll not be able to wear the hoops because of the clash with the white. Maybe both teams will wear their second strips. That's also happened before, such as away to Hibs, etc. So, look, we'll just kind of need to play it by ear on that one. But hopefully the strip doesn't dictate the result.
Alan Woods got a great idea. Playing the Love Street 86 green strip in deep. I'm all for that, Alan. That's you can get them. You can get all those retro strips now in the Celtic shop sell them now, don't they? So just get that dusted off, Aidan, and wear that.
Yeah, I mean that could be an option. Just honestly, anything that
I
would be
want
better than last time, Tony. Genuinely, it was just like I say. I mean, was it all right in the stadium watching it? Obviously, you're a lot closer to it, but was it pretty clear? Was there a few times you were like, maybe not when they were going forward, but even when somebody was taking a throw in or something like that?
I remember very early thinking, why is the referee allowed this? And I can't remember who I was sitting beside, but it's not been wise after the event. I looked and, as you can see, I've got 4 eyes, so my eyesight's not 20/20. I'm astigmatic, by the way. That's a condition. It's not short-sighted. But there you have it. And I remember looking and thinking, that's a clash, is it not? And whoever was sitting beside me was kind of like, not too sure. And then as the game wore on, they were like, I see what you mean. And so if it was a problem, then I don't think it should have been allowed. But I mean, I'm not blaming the strip for Celtic's loss that day. Celtic were just back at the office. They were terrible, but I don't know if at pitch level that it did cause problems with the players. But I could see, and you're quite low down at St Mirren, kind of in their press box. So I could see from my vantage point that it looked like a problem. It was certainly a problem to me. So that's me getting my excuses in as a journalist for things that I don't see. I see quite a lot, but there are things I don't see. It's funny because I've said before, you can sit in the press box, you can see Kyogo scoring on Sunday, and the first question you'll ask is, who played it to him? I mean, and but you'll know it was Greg Taylor scampering down there, right, and whipped it across. Because you've watched it.
100%.
You've watched it, and then you'll see Kyogo scoring, and your mind will be like, right, Kyogo's put it in the minute and all that, and then that kind of thing. And I've got, I missed the first ever goal as a reporter, Aidan. I missed it because it was scored in 9 seconds, and I was too busy giving it a bit of that. And Danny Ferry scored for Queen's Park after 9 seconds, and I missed it. He couldn't make it up.
Did the game end 1-0?
No, it ended 4-0 to Queen's Park.
Well, at least you've seen a wee bit more then.
But the addendum to that is I asked Danny Ferry after it how it came about, and even Danny Ferry didn't know because there was wind and rain and all that. And Queen's Park, what happened was Queen's Park took centre. They had the wind and they just launched it. And the Forfar goalkeeper and central defender were kind of standing. The goalie was about 20 yards out, and the defender was kind of 10 yards out, and the ball bounced over the two of them. And Danny Ferry's just ran in the wind and the battering rain and looked up. And the ball's rolling towards the goal line, and he's ran in and he's hammered it in. First ever game, and I've got my notepad, my pen, and all that, and didn't have a mobile phone. And I've looked up, and Danny Ferry's running away. And there was myself, a boy from the Sun, and a guy from PA. and none of the three of us seen it. It's just like incredible. Thankfully, my brother and my father were there who filled me in alongside a chant of "sacked in the morning, you're getting sacked in the morning." So there you go. It's a good claim to fame that as a journalist you missed the first ever goal that was scored when you were covering a football match. 25 years later, I'm still here, Aidan. Living proof you can fool all the people all the time. There you go. But hey, there you have it. Not missed much since, so there you go. Even allowing for my 4 eyes, but never mind. Anyway, we shall preview the St Mirren game, Aidan, at great length Thursday and Friday. Enjoyed that chat, Aidan. Very good. Celtic, yep, they might have problems come next January with lots of players being called up for the Asian Cup. But hey, that'll just be a measure of Celtic's success, Aidan, with all those players getting recognised international duty. And great to see Ange in his homeland being treated like the hero that he now is. And hopefully he continues that success and he stays around for a while. He's indicated that he's going to stay around for a while, so we take those words at face value, don't we, Aidan? But thank you for your contributions. Thanks, guys, for your comments. Enjoyed that today. Wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you for a terrific Thursday. But before we go, the usual, Aidan, subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality football journalism covering the club you love. Costs you £2 for 2 months of unlimited access to everything that's written on the website. And all you do is hit a button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Aidan, lots of things on there, something for everybody, isn't there?
Yeah, there's obviously, big interviews with yourself, Tony, tactics pieces, scouting pieces, columns from one of our columnists, Kevin McKenna. So, whether, tactics is your bag or you prefer more feature-related stuff, there's plenty there. So, get yourself involved and subscribe if you haven't already.
And we say thank you to SENECA, and Celtic Way Morning Briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. Aidan, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Top day. Enjoy your day, whatever you're up to, guys. And we'll see you all again tomorrow. Take care.
Cheers, guys.